As we begin to understand the differences between Skype and Google Hangout, it becomes familiar to us to see why Skype for Business should be the champion over our Google Hangout option that is an alternative that you may be able to leverage. To understand this a little bit more, when we take a look at this screen, it's talking about some of the differences between the two. And just as a general overview, what you're finding as a difference between the Hangout option or the Skype for Business option. But really what this means is that originally about 2 years ago, Google Hangouts was relaunched and it offered the web conferencing solution. So it's been in market for about 2 years and it will give you an instant message experience. It gives you audio and video and some basic sharing features. It also requires a lot of additional add-ins if you want some extra pieces too. And essentially, the basic features that it covers would be more or less a consumer version that we're looking at. So now when we're talking about taking a look at some of the features that Google has over the recent months, there have been some additions that now include some third-party features that will give you reporting. It gives you extra pieces like audio conferencing and tries to fit in the missing pieces, but by nature, it was really designed more or less as a consumer product that would compete with the home version of Skype that is offered by Microsoft. Now, as we transition the screen and we start to take a look at some of the features of Skype for Business and why you may want to take a look as this option for your particular business, you'll see some options that are listed here on the left and on the right-hand side of the screen. On the left-hand side is showing you the functionality that Microsoft offers through Skype for Business. And on the right-hand side, it discusses some of the differences that Google Hangouts has compared to Skype for Business. So as we take a look at some of these things, the first option that you'll see is easy file sharing. And Microsoft has a statistic just internally with its employees that they actually transfer 250,000 files per month. So in other words, 250,000 files per month are transferred back and forth just through this instant messaging type of screen that you see on the left-hand side. And you might be wondering why people would use that as an alternative to email. And the reason behind it is that there are limits to the size of the email that you can send. So it could be roughly 25 megabytes per size, but we can work around that by being able to send this information through an instant message where we don't have those same kind of hurdles. The other thing too is that Skype for Business allows to be able to upload and preview the PowerPoint slides before the meeting begins, where the Hangout option doesn't allow for file transfers unless it's a photo, and previews don't get converted. So in other words, what ends up happening is it's just a fly-by-night where you can share the desktop, but you can't really upload in the Hangout feature the slides before the meeting and get them converted for an optimized format to help with a high fidelity meeting. Some of the other things that we find is that if a person joins the meeting after it's already started, they don't have access to the content in Hangouts, where with Skype for Business, they do have access to the content and they can review previous slides so that they can catch up as needed and still be able to participate in the meeting, where they're quite limited when it comes to the Hangout options. So other things that you're going to find with respect to creating polls and inking and whiteboarding, those features require an add-in for the Google Hangout option, but you don't have to worry about that with Skype for Business because it becomes part of the default package that we have available for us. One other thing that is available to us is video calling, and video calling is available in the Hangout as well as in Skype for Business. But from a quality perspective, and I'll get into this a little bit more when we talk specifically about video quality, but one thing that I can mention to you right away is that there's a lot of jerkiness with a transition from one person speaking to another person speaking in that Google Hangout. You do not have that problem in Skype for Business at all. It's a very smooth panel transition between one person and the next person, and there's no jerkiness. It's very steady flow from speaker to speaker as those different people throughout your presentation are speaking and you're making those transitions. Now, as we talk about meeting experiences, again, you're going to see what that Skype for Business screen looks on the left-hand side. And on the right-hand side, we're going to see information that's available to us for the variances in finding and working with Google Hangout. One thing that you'll see on the screen right now is that the meeting size is 250 natively. The time frame of this recording is going to be in the early part of 2015, and this will actually increase from 250 to thousands that will be available around the end of this year, early next year in 2016. So just know that this slide, as of the capturing of the recording, does officially say 250 because that's the limitation Microsoft has in place for Skype for Business, that will expand as we move into the later portion of 2015 and into 2016. One of the things, though, that you're seeing in this screen is that note-taking is something that Microsoft has the ability to do, and that Google Hangouts doesn't have that feature. So in Skype for Business, Microsoft leverages a product called OneNote, and it's something they've had since your 2003 version of Office, but now it's becoming readily available, and Microsoft has made a free version for any device that we use across platform. And what that means when we're working with Skype for Business is that we have the ability to leverage that OneNote and see live updates as we're working with those features of taking notes, and we can integrate that as part of our meeting experience. We don't have any of those kinds of features that are available specifically within Google Hangouts. So that's one of the limitations that you'll find. Another item that you'll find is a bit of a limitation is working with higher resolution projectors or larger screens in general and displaying video content. And that becomes important because Google Hangout supports 720 resolution, but it doesn't support 1080 pixel resolution, and that's where you'll find a bit of a difference with Skype for Business. It does support 1080p resolution, and that means that you're going to have a very clear HD quality experience no matter what screen size you're trying to project on to accommodate that. So good news for Skype for Business with those types of options. And one of the other limitations that you're going to find, and you're going to see the word natively used here, is with the meeting sizes in general. And the reason why that becomes important is because when we're looking at the total number of people, you want to be able to see their photos where necessarily. You want to be able to see their live facial reactions as information is being presented. And as an attendee, you want to be able to see the presenter itself and be able to see that information too. So Skype for Business allows us to be able to see everyone's faces and be able to see the information that's being presented as well. So it's not either or. We actually get to see a combination of the information. That's what you're seeing displayed along the bottom left-hand side. The other thing that you'll find is that with the Google Hangout feature, natively, so to speak, without a third-party requirement as an add-on, you can have 15 people, and that's it. If you want more than 15 people from a Google Hangout perspective, that has to be distributed through YouTube. So you have to set up YouTube with your Google Hangout, and then people are able to watch. And you know, if the 16th person joins and you weren't aware, that person is not allowed into the meeting because of that strict limitation. We don't have those kind of challenges with Skype for Business. Skype for Business allows meeting sizes to be available currently today as of 250 people, all on, they can even be in video conference all at one time. And then you're able to project to anyone and be able to make sure that everyone has that item that's available. and be able to see the comments. They're able to see the content, and they're able to see the presenter all in one screen available to them. There are some other limitations when it comes to consistency across platforms with respect to Google Hangout. So for example, one of the things is that instant message does become important, but in order to really be prevalent and present with the instant message, you have to have the desktop version of that with Google Hangout. And it doesn't work across all platforms in the case of a web environment. So with Skype for Business, there's a web option that anyone can chime into, and that gives them the ability to work across platform no matter what the browser experience is. And then apps are also available for Skype for Business for users too. So it becomes a consistent experience no matter what device you're working with and how you're connecting to be able to see and work with that information. So that becomes very helpful too. And unfortunately, those limitations are going to come into play on the Google Hangout side, especially when it goes with chat functions. When users have iPads, when they use Android, they can't see any of the information. So it becomes a little bit difficult and inconsistent, which is a plus on the Skype for Business side of having apps and browser experiences that are very consistent and look and feel, and having all of that information available right in one place the way that it's expected to be. Now, as we transition and talk about enterprise for a moment, controlling data in business becomes extremely important, especially if you're a large company or you have some proprietary information that you don't want to get out. And so controlling your data really matters, and that's where Skype for Business can shine. And that's where we're seeing on this screen some of the enterprise expectations that are listed here. So one of the things to recognize is that your data can be controlled. So for example, you may want to control information through information rights management policies. That is available and can be deployed and used with Skype for Business. And if it's a specific document that's been locked down for rights management, you don't want to be able to let that information link. So Skype for Business has detection to say, is this document a protected document? If it is, I'm not going to allow a workaround for the user just to share anything. And when we get into the arena of Google Hangouts, nothing like that exists because it wasn't designed for that enterprise capability to begin with. Another thing too to discuss with this is relating to integration. And one of the things that we find in here is that it doesn't, when it comes to Google Hangouts, there is a little bit of a lack of full support with Office. And it really does have some lacking information just in having a unified communication solution, in being able to provide touch points into Office. You're either showing your desk or you're showing nothing. There's nothing specific for PowerPoint. It's just show all of the desktop, not a specific application, or double checking on confirmation of rights and things like that. So it really is just press of a button and see everything or see nothing other than a person speaking. So it's a little bit limiting when we talk about being able to have that full support of PowerPoint, and especially for Windows users and working with Internet Explorer and seeing recent files, that becomes a bit of an issue as well. Now, on the enterprise voice side, one of the interesting things with unified communications is that Microsoft has a story with unified communications. There's a way for you to make an outbound call and be able to have that information available readily to tie in someone calling into your desk phone over to your Lync phone, now called Skype for Business. And that really begins to tell a unified communications story. But we don't have that kind of story when it comes to working with Google Hangouts. And yes, you might be able to make and receive a phone call, But if you have a legacy system, you don't have an option to be able to really make or receive a voicemail or a call in general. So it is a little bit limiting on what these options are that can try and help you. In the case of Skype for Business, you have the ability to create and protect control around the different policies and usage and the security just in general. And that's something that you just don't have because, quite frankly, when we're looking at the architecture and the integration features of Google Hangouts, they don't provide enterprise voice and a true unified communications experience. The way that they are doing it is through something known as PSTN dialing experience. So it doesn't give that option of having that full integrated feature to get what really would need to be done in the case of enterprise voice just in general. Now, you'll see on this screen a topic of Skype room systems. One of the things that you'll see is that just in general, there are 50 million types of setups that can happen with meeting rooms. And whatever the meeting room configuration is, Skype for Business has a solution for that. You'll see on the screen on the left-hand side the partners that Microsoft has, including themselves, but they have Polycom that they work with and the smart boards that are available, and you'll see Crestron listed there as well. But the goal of this is to make sure that no matter what the room setup is, that there can be a collaborative and integrated experience for working with Skype for Business. Now, Hangouts only offers one type of meeting room device, and it's called Chromebox for Meetings. So it's just one option, doesn't do a lot, and if you're looking at a different configuration of up to 50 million types, only having one and only covering a very small subset of the options available isn't going to help that much. So another limitation to think about when you're looking at Google Hangouts. Now, just to give you a couple of slides here on press and analysts, you're going to see some recent press here from 4 different options listed on the screen. You can pause this video and watch it a little bit further and look through these, but I'll touch on a couple of options here under the PC World side. So one of the things that you'll find is that device support is lacking, and that the plugin just disappears, and that there are a lot of video problems when we start to work with Google Hangouts. So one of the things that you'll find over the course of time is that it can be a little bit buggy. It doesn't offer all of the great features of Skype for Business. And on the next slide here, you'll see that in Gartner's experience, it's not good for large meetings. That's because it only supports 15 simultaneous users at one time, and instead of the 250 that Microsoft offers. You'll see that the reporting tools are not really there. Google Hangouts has just started to include some basic reporting, but the 99% of guaranteed uptime, it doesn't provide any financial back guarantee with that. So yeah, of course it'll be up there, but it doesn't mean that you're going to get a great quality experience and the reporting tools that you really need from a business perspective. So if there's a trouble issue that's going to happen, it's going to be difficult to figure out what that is, where Microsoft gives you some reporting tools that can actually help you do some troubleshooting. You'll be able to press a button and it will actually walk through different types of troubleshooting steps for you. You can double check ports and things like that and make sure everything is great. So Microsoft really does have a wider range of tools to help you in the troubleshooting and reporting areas when it comes to Skype for Business, because it was designed for business. So to close out with this particular slide, you'll see that there are 4 basic components that make up Skype for Business so helpful over Google Hangouts. One is that it does give you a full feature set that is available for you. It is designed and inspired by something we know already, which is the home version of Skype, but it has been built for business features because it was a rebranding of something Microsoft has had in play known as Lync as a business solution. You can get a server version, a hybrid version, or a cloud version, which you don't get with the opportunity of Google Hangouts, and it is considered enterprise grade. So that means that the data security and the features and the compliance requirements are all built into that, where you don't see any of that information when it comes to Google Hangouts. So I hope that you found that helpful, and feel free to give us a call and reach out to us. We can help you roadmap your future, get you on Skype for Business, also maximize the technology investments relating to Microsoft products that you have. So feel free to visit us at centerpointsolution.com and look for our additional videos to help you save time in your day, maximize your future, and make the most of the technology investments that you have today.